Hi guys, and welcome to another video. Today we're going to be installing an Eventuri intake onto my Honda Civic FK2 Type R. This won't be a kind of a how-to video, but I just thought it'd be cool to film the process of removing all of this and replacing it with the Eventuri intake. So this is the standard airbox. I took some video of this yesterday and I'll probably insert this right about now. Then of course, once we've fitted the Eventuri, I'll take some more footage so you can kind of have a side-by-side comparison of the intake noise with the standard airbox or with the Eventuri, the new intake. Now of course, if anyone is actually looking to get this intake, there are full instructions on the Eventuri website, which will take you through all the necessary steps. This video might cover all of that, but it might not, so certainly do not take this as a complete how-to video. But let's get started. So the first thing I need to do is remove this clip which goes to the MAF sensor, and then also this green clip here which seems to just hold the cable onto the airbox. So the first thing to do is to remove this clip which holds the wire into the MAF sensor. The MAF sensor itself will be taken off of this pipe and putting onto the coupler that comes with the kit. Now I need to take this green clip off, just a little bit fiddly. Just squeeze the pins underneath. Ow.
Five minutes later.
There we go. So that's now off. We then need to take off this intake pipe. So there's a little clamp here which we need a Phillips screwdriver for. Right, now I need to remove these two bolts, which are a 10mm. Jesus. Crikey. Probably tell it's another lovely British day. Hopefully the wind noise isn't too bad on the microphone. Has got a muff on it.
That's what she said.
Then two other bolts holding in the airbox. There's one down there, and then there's another one at the rear, which is, oh, there he is. I don't think I'm going to get this. Focus. It's somewhere down there, you're just going to take my word for it. Okay, there's not a lot of space in here. I'm using a 1/4 inch ratchet, 10mm socket and an extension, and it's a little bit fiddly. So it might take some time. Right, that one's out now. I've just got to get to this one at the back, which might be even trickier. So for this, I've managed to fashion this. So a couple of extensions together in a 10mm socket and a 1/2 inch wrench, and it just fits on top of the airbox. So we should be able to get enough space here to get this loose. Yeah, that's loose. To be fair, these parts aren't really like torqued down or anything to any kind of real level, so once you've broken it, which is pretty easy, you can just do it with your fingers, well, with an extension. Sorry guys, I somehow managed to not record that bit, but once you've got those 2 bolts out, the airbox just sits on a little dowel, so just give it a little firm pull and just pops off that dowel, and then you just need to waggle it around till you get it out of the engine bay. I did just try to put it back in, kind of re-engineer that process, and it's not the easiest, so I will really look forward to the time when and if I ever take the Eventuri off of this car, trying to get that airbox back in that space. But it does go, and it's not too difficult to get out. But we've now cleared the area, and we can begin to start installing some of the kit. So the next thing I need to do is take the MAF sensor off of the standard airbox, because this is going to go on the coupler which comes with the Eventuri, intake. So it's just 2 Phillips screws here and here. Simple enough. Now I'm wearing gloves. It's not necessarily a mucky job, but it's just cold, and latex gloves kind of keep my hands warm, so that's why I'm wearing them. Don't lose the screws. I think we need to use those again. Now I've got to change this piece here, because of course the Eventuri has a scoop which sits up above the scuttle panel, so it comes with a pre-cut scuttle panel that will replace this one. So we just need to take this trim off. These parts are usually the ones that I'm I was about to say the ones I'm most scared of removing. So we've got that bit off there. Now I've got to get it off this edge, which is the bit that makes me a little bit nervous. So just push that down. Oh, that's easy. These are like rubberized rather than plastic, so just push it down so it comes out of the body seam, and it just slides off. Yeah, that's it. Okay, gently. Ow! Okay, very grubby under there, and that hurt quite a lot as my finger smashed into the bonnet, but there you go. Brute force and ignorance is not always the way. Although the car's wet, I'm not feeling those dirty marks. Just give that a quick wipe off. Man, that really hurt my finger. As I said, this part here is going to be replaced with a new part, which is, I believe, is just a standard Honda scuttle, but they just pre-cut it for you for the scoop. So we're going to get the scoop out now. And here it is. I have to say, this kit really is a thing of beauty. It's almost too good looking, so I don't really want to put it in my engine bay, but race car. So one thing people always say with these kind of kits where you've got this scoop which potentially water can go into, is water's going to get into the filter. Well, this comes with in the kit with a drain pipe, which you can just see in there. And what you'll see is on the back of the scoop here, if I'll focus, there's this tube fitting, I don't know what you call it, but we have this drain pipe, and that is going to go on there. Try doing this when you're looking through a camera. So that fits nice and snugly on there, you can see, and then just need to feed this drain pipe into the correct place through the engine bay, which we'll look at now. So we're just going to set the scoop in the position where it's going to sit, and this drain pipe actually just goes down here, and I'll show you in a second, but there's an engine mount, I think it is, that it just sits behind. The pipe's got a bit of a crook on it. Let's just try and straighten that a little bit. So that will just sit in somewhere about there, and the drain pipe goes down there, which I'll show you now. So it's just down here, so I assume that's some kind of engine mount. Not a qualified mechanic, but that's my best guess. And then you've got this tube which just needs to stick down there. So if any rainwater or water goes in through here, it's just going to drain out here. Of course, with the Eventuri kit, this bit here doesn't actually couple straight onto the other element, the bit with the filter in, and there's actually a gap. But either way, it's probably just going to go for that drain hole. Now, one bit just to be careful of, this little, and I guess you call it a push fitting, fell out the bottom of the airbox. I think this is what the little dowel goes into, and it doesn't stay in the bottom of the airbox, so just be careful that you don't lose that. I dropped it twice, thankfully both times it landed somewhere I could find it, so just keep it safe in case you ever intend to put the standard airbox back into the car. So the next bit we're going to need is this. So this is the pre-cut scuttle. Like I said, I think it's just a standard Honda part, which they just then Dremel out for you, with some mounting holes here and here, which the scoop is going to mount onto. I can see this part not being very fun. Now we've got to put the trim back on. So the first thing I need to do is get it's kind of in the right place. How did I know that this wasn't going to be as easy as taking it out? And that wasn't particularly easy. Should get these two. Right, okay, that's in at the expense of my finger again. Jesus Christ. Oh, that was actually probably slightly easier than taking it off, I think, as long as everything's gone back in the right place. Now there are tabs at the front and the back, so just need to make sure that they're all clicked in, which at the moment we're not. Be careful damaging that. Can I take this out at this point? I don't think so. It just sits in there for a minute. Oh, that reassuring click. We're all good. And there we go, that's the new scuttle panel on. And I think I would call that success. Looks how it did before. Looks like it's all clipped in. And then the next process, we'll be using the supplied screws here and here to pull that pull the scoop up into the scuttle panel. For the moment, this is just kind of sitting there, and that's going to go up into there. So what you may find you have to do is, like I've just had to do, I've had to pull the trim up again, just so they could waggle the scoop around a little bit to make it sit in here properly. So now you can see that the two screw holes that secure the scoop to the scuttle panel are now lined up. So we'll put those screws in now. Right, so I finally got the screws in. Did have a slight problem with this one here. I don't know why, there was just a tough bit in the thread, but I just, after going, putting it in and pulling it back out again.
That's what she said.
She took the part out of the car and screwed it in and went in fine, but just when it's in the car for some reason, it just goes tight at a certain part of the thread. But as you can see, it's all fitted up now. So move on to the next bit. So the next thing we need to do is put the MAF sensor into the new coupler. MAF sensor slides in there, and then you just secure it with 2 M4 bolts which come in the kit. Right, so now we need to attach the coupler to the main filter housing. So this should just slide on this end, like this. And then you need to align the MAF with the centre line. So if you take a centre line from the badge here, this screw needs to line up with the centre. Just make sure that's on there properly. Let's just make sure that there's enough slack on the MAF sensor wire to actually click into this harness here. Now I need to place or connect the main housing to this intake hose here. I've just put a couple of cloths on top of the engine because you're taking essentially what's nearly £1,000 worth of carbon fibre and putting it in a place with loads of sticky out edges that are going to scratch it, so I'm just trying to protect it. So as I just did there, if you get the bracket in about the right place, it will really help you with easing the intake onto the intake hose. And now it's in there, I'm just going to tighten up the hose clamps. It's interesting, it actually says Eventuri on these clips. Now it's just a case of securing the main filter with this bracket here. There's just 2 holes in the actual bodywork here, and there's 2 supply bolts, 2 10mm bolts that you need to put in there. There's my brother making loads of noise in his Golf Edition 30. So these 2 10mm, there's a bit of almost like a vinyl rubber washer in the hole of this bracket, so you need to kind of push the bolt through that first before you can get it into the hole on the other side. Reach, hold it, and put the bolt in.
That's what she said.
Right, so just need to plug in the MAF sensor. And just make sure there's a bit of play in that cable because this is going to move a little bit. That's probably enough movement there. I'll probably just check it after taking it for a test drive. So there we go, finished product. I did end up just loosening these couplers again and just kind of repositioning them. I want to try and get this pipe as straight as possible, and also saw that this one wasn't sitting quite as nice as it could do, so I've just readjusted that. Now it's time to find out what it sounds like. So that's the installation done. Probably take you about half an hour to 40 minutes if you're not filming it like I was, but the process is pretty simple enough. If I was to give you any advice, I think first of all is fitting this scoop can be a little bit fiddly. Getting it to line up once you've already got the scuttle panel on. I did take it off a couple of times, the skull panel, just so I could kind of rejig where this section here was sitting. But once you've kind of got it lined up, and then the only other thing was these screws, they were a bit hesitant to go into the threads when you've got it in situ, so I did actually take it back off again, try the screws in the threads, and they were fine, but for just some reason when they're in here they're just a little bit more difficult to get in. So now you guys probably just want to hear what it sounds like, so I'll insert some clips here. I hope you guys enjoyed the video and found it useful to see the fitting process for the Eventuri intake. I'm really pleased with it. I think it sounds great. There's also supposedly a decent amount of power increase even without a map. They quote somewhere between 18 and I think 22 brake horsepower, but that remains to be seen. The car does feel like it picks up a bit better, but that might just be that old placebo effect because it makes nicer noises. However, if you enjoyed the video, please do subscribe, like the video, and please stay tuned because I've got plenty more videos lined up. As and when I get parts for the car, I'll be filming that process. Thanks, goodbye.